Preparing for medical school interviews is rough. With so many possibilities out there and what they're going to ask and say, it's kind of hard to prepare for it. It's hard to talk about yourself in a manner that doesn't seem egotistical, but at the same time, you want to come off as the guy that wants to be the one to get into med school, wants to prove that I'm the person that you should accept. It's a hard little balance to do. Then at the same time, I need to answer these ethical questions in a professional and right manner so that I don't look like a doofus and I don't look like I don't know what I'm doing here. If you're feeling in a rut, not being able to come up with answers for all these different type of questions, not knowing how to prepare for medical school interviews, don't worry. I've been there. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Kartik Goswami. I'm a medical student in Northern California. I'm in my 3rd year currently. And back when I applied to medical schools, I got accepted to over 8 different medical schools, and it was all down to the interview. Now, ever since, I've sat on admissions committees for my schools, interviewed prospective students, helped them pick students through the interviews, and I've helped many students on my previous website of thedoctorjourney.com, where I helped so many people with the interview phase of their application. So now I'm here to help you with all the tips and tricks that I've learned along my way to make sure that you can excel on your interview. So without further ado, let's get into it. First and foremost, before an interviewer even asks you a question, they're gonna look at how you look, how your background looks, the first impression. So make sure you are looking your best. You're wearing a suit, you're wearing a dress, whatever it is, make sure you're wearing the best, most professional wear that you can find. Make sure your hair is done. If you have facial hair, groom that. You know what I'm talking about. Just look the best you absolutely can look. And then on top of that, make sure the background behind you is a plain wall. Now, this right here is not a good background right here. There's a bed, there's a painting, there's a wall, there's so much happening. What you need is a plain wall. So what I'm talking about for a plain wall, let me take you around. This isn't part of the script, but plain wall as in this. This would be perfect for you to make sure that you have the best, most plain background, you look perfect, and you don't have any problems whatsoever. Okay, now that that little vlog trip is all gone, you want a plain background, okay? You don't want any distractions. If you do have something, put a painting in there, make it look nice, maybe a flower on your side or whatever. Make it look good. You should look fly. Your background should look fly. Everything should look fly, okay? And I know some people ask me, they're like, why does this matter? Why is this even important? Trust me, first impressions are what make you. First impressions, let's say you're not wearing a suit, tie, whatever it is, you're not at your flyest. And on top of that, you have like a messy background, like garbage everywhere. They're gonna be like, oh, this kid's already messy, unorganized. Why do we want him at our medical school? So you gotta give a good first impression. You gotta have that authority, the flyness, and look professional. I love the word fly. But make sure that's all great before you even start the interview. Okay, now that that's all aside, let's get to the questions. The most common question that people get wrong, according to my experience, is why do you want to be a doctor? Now, this is the most simple, most profound, but hard question you can have. It basically encompasses your whole reason you're applying to medical school. Like, this question is a reason you're gonna be continuing the journey, the suffering, the excitement of becoming a physician. It's a very important question, not just for the interviewer, but also for you as an interviewee. And to craft this answer, you gotta go back to the drawing board. You gotta have some type of story, some type of experience, something that really hit the spotlight for you. Make it true to heart. Something that actually shifted your mind to making that decision to apply to medical school. And hopefully that's an easy answer for you, where you know what it is that caused you, what caused you that fire to keep going. And most students just say, oh, I want to help people. Oh, because my parents told me to. Like, first of all, the helping people is way too common. You can do that in any career, okay? You gotta be more specific. And my parents told me to, that, sure, if that's true, don't say that, okay? That just automatically is a red flag. And no, we don't want you at your medical school. That's what they're gonna say. So make sure it's a true answer, something true to heart, and then expand on that, okay? Find a very deep answer, write it out as much as you can, and then you can simplify that. So I think that's a very, very vital question you need to have down. The next most important question that you need to figure out is the tell me about yourself question. A lot of people get stuck But this question is genuinely easy to answer. The only hard part is coming across in a way where it looks good for an interviewer. It's kind of like introducing yourself to the class when you go on the first day of school, but you got to make sure it's professional, it's related to medicine in a little bit, and shows why you're the person to get into medical school. And for the most of the answer, try to keep it non-medical so they can see you're a real person and not just in the books only. But do keep it a little bit medical, just to show a little bit of interest from your personal life into your academic life. For example, for me, how I would structure this answer, a tell me about yourself question, I would say, what motivates me every morning to wake up is a passion to improve myself to the point where I can improve other people's lives. I want to make sure that I'm like my idols, Warren Buffett, Johnny Kim, who have worked meticulously throughout their life to make sure that they are improving themselves on a daily basis while at the same time improving others' lives. Now me, I have always wanted to do this. I read books on personal development. I do martial arts. I have done many different sports, and I have led a Bhangra team, which is a true passion of mine. This is just something that invigorates me, excites me, brings out the passion in me to make sure that, I'm not only happy with my own personal development, my own personal goals, but hopefully I'm out there leading an example for others to also follow their path, their dreams, their passions, and make sure that they as well are following on that path. And this is exactly what I want to do in my future as a medical professional and beyond, is to keep improving myself. I have done so many different hobbies. I'm a big fan of Formula One, racing. I love the whole detailed-oriented racecraft where you have to figure out every little part, how to get 0.01% better, improve, and put them back on the track, improve the car, bring it back. I just love that daily repeat of improving, and I want to do that for myself, for my others, and for my future patients. Now, obviously, this was literally off the bat. It's not the exact perfect answer I would tell people to make, but something like this, you're talking about your passions, talking about what drives you, what makes you who you are, at the same time, how you're going to implement that in your medicine career. So that's a good example on how you should craft yours. The third answer you need to have down is why this school? Now, this is actually a sneakily very important question that a lot of people don't answer correctly. They're like, oh, let me think about that. No, you should have this down off the bat. For every single school you interview at, need to know what strengths do they have that align to your personal goals. Take a little bit of effort to see the location, what they teach, what they offer, how it relates to what you like. For example, the school I go to currently is close to my home that I grew up in for the past almost 2 decades. So that's a big strength for me. On top of that, I like the curriculum of a systems-based approach where they teach everything of one system and then they move on to the next. So stuff like that fit my personal needs is what I brought up as in why I want to go to this school. It's like, I want to go to your guys' school because I have a support system close by. I've grown up in this area. I know this area. I want to give back to this area once I'm done with schooling. Stuff like that. You can make up answers as long as you have bullet points on what are the reasons why you want to attend the school. Pro tip, every school you do this for, act like this is a school you want to go to, so you get the most acceptances you possibly can. Yeah, a little bit of the interview game is a little bit of faking it, but if you give your best foot forward and act like you're the most interested out of everyone, you'll have the best shot at getting in. The fourth most vital question that you need to answer is, what are your strengths and weaknesses? Now, this is semi-easy, semi-hard of an answer. The easy part are your strengths. You can show your leadership skills, your kindness, respectfulness, whatever. Strengths is easy. Elaborate on 2 different strengths. I think 2 is a great way to go about it. 2 strengths, what makes you who you are, blah, 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 done. Now onto the weaknesses. Weaknesses is a little bit harder. For weaknesses, also have 2 different weaknesses, but you don't want to say one where it just makes you look terrible. A weakness you want to say is something that you are fixing. For example, for me, what I would mention is a weakness for me is that I'm a little unorganized, but noticing this unorganization in my work and my school and blah, 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 recently I have started a new habit of writing down everything I need to do within a day on a notes document and then scratching off everything I do as I go along. And then in the future, I plan to transition this notes document to a Notion template with more detailed stuff on what times I'm going to do this, staying more organized. You get the point? Like, I'm just talking about a weakness and telling them I'm improving on this weakness. That's what you need to do. You need to give them a weakness you actually have and how you're improving it currently and how you're going to keep improving it later on as well. So they're like, wait, this kid is actually working on his weaknesses. This kid knows their weaknesses. You got to act like that. Now, the fifth question you need to know is, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Now, this question can be asked in a variety of different ways. It could be like, what specialty do you want to do? Where do you see yourself in medical school? What do you see yourself doing in your 50s, etc. Like, there's so many variety of ways they can ask this question, but the main point is, where do you see yourself in 10 years? What you want to do in the future? Now, you don't have to have a specialty planned right now, but if you do have a specialty plan, please say that and say it wholeheartedly, enthusiastically, and be like, I want to be a cardiologist. It's always been my dream. That's exactly what I want to do. I want to get into med school. I'm going to do residency, do fellowship, and then do another fellowship and become an interventional cardiologist. If that's your goal, do it. And a little caveat to that, if your school is like, we specialize in making primary care only, then in that caveat, then maybe not say cardiologist or whatever specialty, but that's a very small caveat. Most schools aren't like that. Most schools are very open to all specialties because it brings up their name as well. So just keep that in mind. But if you don't have any specialty, you're kind of interested in a few different things, you could toss out all like 3, 4, 5 different things that you're interested in. Or you can just say, my goal's always been to be a physician. I'm not sure what path I'm going to be following, but I do see myself going into a residency for sure. And then from there, I don't know if I will specialize further, but I will be happy doing global health, helping my local community, helping the homeless population. It doesn't have to be a specialty, just a goal that you want to do through medicine. So if you have any type of goal, especially whatever, have that written down, have that kind of mental thought on how you're going to answer this type of question, because it's a pretty important question. They want to see if you fit their type of vibe or just who you are as a person. They want to see. Now, on to the ethics question. A lot of people struggle with the ethics questions. They are probably the hardest questions to answer. Ethics questions you can't really get right as well. There's wrong answers for sure, but there's no real right answer. So for ethics questions, you just got to keep practicing them. I'll leave a link below of a Seisman website below. They have like 100 different MMI ethics questions, same thing. Go and practice those. Make sure you do a good chunk of them so you kind of know how to answer them. But I'm going to go through it right now. I'm going to tell you guys how to answer an ethics question with a prompt. Now keep in mind, some schools do have specific timings and how long they want you to answer. For example, my school, they said you have a maximum of 5 minutes, and they kind of wanted us to talk for the 5 minutes. So I had to practice talking on these ethics MMI questions for 5 minutes long. Other schools might have like a 3 or 4 minute limit, and aim for practicing around 3 to 4 minutes. I think that's a good amount of time to answer an ethics question really properly. Also, key point on these questions, the interviewer doesn't expect you to know any medical knowledge, any scientific, any legal stuff right now. So just go to the best of your ability, best of your knowledge. It's just about answering these 4 different things. And the 4 different things are your 4 rights to healthcare. This is probably the 4 most important things you need to mention within your ethics question. The 4 most important things are beneficence, which is do good, non-maleficence, which is do no harm, autonomy, let the patient decide what they want for themselves, and 4th one, justice. Make sure everyone is treated equally and everyone gets a fair advantage. So those are the 4 tenets to healthcare. I have them up on the screen. I'll link them below in the description as well. Make sure you incorporate those somehow into your answer. If you can't do all 4, incorporate a couple of them in. It shows that you really know the rights of healthcare, rights to patients, rights to treating people. Make you look really professional, make you look really good in your ethics question. So without further ado, let's get into a quick example. I won't do a full 3 or 4 minute one, but I'll explain a little bit. So I'm gonna read this off my laptop, so I'll be looking over there. A 21-year-old female presents to the emergency room with vomiting, fever, and headaches. We realize that this is not a common flu, but is likely bacterial meningitis. She doesn't believe you as her symptoms have gotten better after resting a bit. She refuses treatment and decides that she is going back to her college dormitory. What should you do as a physician in this situation, knowing that bacterial meningitis can lead to death or permanent disability? ability. So if you didn't get that, it's right here on the screen. You're probably reading it with me right now. So kind of a complicated prompt, right? This girl is, dealing with a very serious condition, can lead to her death, but she doesn't want to get treated. What do we do? Well, when you're answering this question, do exactly what I just did, but a little bit longer. Summarize what you got from the prompt back to the interviewer. Not only does this make sure that you understood it correctly, it also wastes a little bit of time. And usually these are timed questions and you want to waste extra time as much as possible. Just shows that you got the right answer down as well. It just gets you in the zone. You summarize the thing and then you dive into it. So you got that summary, Dean? So this lady's dealing with bacterial meningitis. What we want to do is beneficence, to do good for the patient. We want to treat the patient, make sure that she gets better, But at the same time, not giving her treatment would be non-maleficence. So because that's doing harm to the patient. So we don't want to do harm to the patients. We want to do good to the patient. So we want to do beneficence. But at the same time, this patient is saying through her autonomy, which is her right to choice, that she does not want any treatment. So we got to be like, okay, we want to do good. We don't want to do harm, but at the same time, we got to respect the autonomy. But then bacterial meningitis also is a disease that could possibly spread to others, maybe go to other people and kill other people, right? She said in the prompt, it said she's going back to her college dormitory. So if she's going back and this is a contagious type of disease, we don't know scientifically it is, but I'm going off of what I would have known a few years back. I didn't know it's contagious. But anyways, if she goes back to the college dormitory and it is a contagious disease, she eventually could spread it to other people, and then wouldn't they be in the same situation of dying? So for justice, shouldn't we give everyone an equal opportunity by making sure that this exact patient is treated before she gets back to college dorm? Or if she doesn't want to get treated, we want to respect her autonomy, but we want to do justice to protect other people, should we isolate her, let her heal on her own? And then I would expand it like that. So I mentioned the 4 rights to healthcare within this one prompt. I would expand on different tangents. There's no real right answer to this. The wrong answers would be like, oh, I'm gonna throw her in jail and I don't know, do something bad. But I can't even think of the wrong answer right now. But the right answers aren't there. Just show that you understand the situation. It's a very struggle situation. So many different opposite things that are happening. So yeah, explain that you understand it, how you're gonna approach it, and the people who are interviewing you are gonna love it. You're gonna be like, you mentioned the 4 rights to healthcare, you're mentioning every different facet of the problem, and you know what you're doing. So yeah, that's what you need to do for your ethics question. Hopefully that helps. So another tip for interviews that you need to know is you need to have questions ready for the interviewer or for the students who are doing the Q&A session before your interview, after your interview, whenever that is. This goes to show that you will have an interest in the school, that you've done research into the school, that you really want to attend this school. For example, if there's a really specific thing, let's say there's a very specific research. So if you find a research opportunity that you really like, let's say you're investigating financials of a specific disease, how much does it cost to get MRIs, X-rays, treatment for pneumonia, in that's your interest, your passion, whatever. You're like, I'm really interested in this. I saw that Dr. X does this. Am I able to join this if I come to this school? Does Dr. X take more students? Or you can be like, this curriculum path, you do a systems-based approach, but does that mean through that students are able to learn all of pharmacology in enough time for their step 1 exam? Something intricate, complicated that you can find off their website is a good question to ask the interviewer or the students. Really shows that you know your research, shows you have a passion for this medical school, and they're gonna be like, wait, this kid not only interviewed great, they're asking us great questions. This is a really top candidate. We're gonna wanna accept him. And trust me, I've been on the admissions committee, and this is how we think on the admissions committee. So yeah, make sure you ask good questions. So some more tips are that you need to write down answers to every single question you can think of, because writing it out just gets a mental thought ready. You're already pre-prepared to be asked a similar type of question. You'll be like, wait, I already know the answer to this. I know what to do. This is what I'm going to do. And don't worry if you're like, wait, how do I even know what questions interviewers ask? I linked a document in the description below with the top, I think 20-ish questions that I used to prepare that cover almost every different angle of what they would ask. So copy that down, write your answers to that, get those prepared, and then go forward with it. And then after you write out those answers, I highly suggest you pull out your phone, put it in front of you, and record yourself and talk into the camera. Make sure you're talking into the camera how you would like for an interviewer, and then just talk how you would answer a question. Like read a question, answer it, and then after done recording, watch it yourself, critique yourself. I know it's really uncomfortable, but critique it. Be like, okay, I'm working these weird head movements like this. I'm not answering the question in a professional manner. I'm saying too many ums. So stuff like that. Realize that. And if it's way too awkward for you and you're like, no, I can't do this at all, then you need to have someone else watch it for you, because this is the only and best way to improve. Having personal critique from other people or from yourself can really see, okay, this is where I need to improve. And then you can re-record it the next day and be like, okay, I improved this. Let's see what I can improve further, and keep doing it further and further until you feel perfected with the answer. And I suggest that you practice every day recording yourself, or at least every other day in the couple of weeks leading up to your interview. This will really help refine your natural delivery and your ability to answer questions in a great manner. In addition, if you can get friends or peers to hop on a Zoom call, FaceTime call, whatever with you, that would be even better, because then you guys can ask each other questions, assuming there are also pre-meds with interviews, and then you can interview each other and critique each other, write down notes, and then tell the person, look, you were making this weird movement, you weren't answering this properly, etc. Stuff like that. I remember when I was a pre-med for interview times, me and like 4 other people hopped on and we used to write notes for each other, send them to each other, critique each other, and it really helped. It really gave a lot of practice and insight on how to look during a Zoom interview, because let's be real, all these are Zoom interviews nowadays. Also, a thing I forgot to mention, on test day, make sure you look into the camera. Don't look into the screen, look into the camera, because if you look into the camera on the interviewer's screen, it looks like you're looking into their eyes, which is direct eye contact, makes you look more confident, more professional, it'll come across better. So yeah, keep in mind the eye stuff. And after the interview is done, make sure to send a thank you email. So many people forget to do this, but sending a thank you email is crucial. And don't worry about making like a thank you email. I already have a template. I linked it below in the description. You can copy that down, edit it how you like. Go from there. You can send the same generic one to every person in a way, just change up like the specifics. Easy stuff, easy points, makes you look good, makes you seem like a better candidate, more likely to get in. So besides that, you're good to go. Don't be nervous. You guys are gonna ace this interview, especially if you do all this practice that I outlined for you guys. You're gonna be amazing. You're gonna ace it, look way better than the competition, and it's gonna be great. And if you guys have any questions or anything at all, please leave a comment below, like this video, subscribe, or you can even DM me questions on Instagram, whatever you like. I'm there for you guys. And in the meantime, stay happy and stay healthy, everyone. Bye-bye.